I'm Jimmy. I want to tell you about a 20-year-old kid who rode his Vespa from Italy to London in 1968. His name was Lino Dainese. He had never seen a big motorcycle before. In Italy, everyone rode small capacity bikes. London was different. London had Nortons, Triumphs, AJS. The men riding those machines wore something Lino had never seen. Full leather suits, custom made to protect a rider in a crash. Lino rode home to his village of Movena in the Vicenza region of northern Italy, and he spent 4 years thinking about what he had seen. In 1972, at the age of 24, he opened a small workshop and made the first pair of motorcycle leather trousers the world had ever seen as a purpose-built protection garment. Not decorative, not fashionable, protective. The leather was thick, and the stitching was reinforced. He knew what he was building, and why. 1 year after founding the company, his leathers were worn by a world champion. In 1978, in collaboration with writer Barry Sheene, he created the first motorcycle back protector in history. In 1995, he sketched the concept for an airbag system that would deploy in milliseconds around a crashing rider before they hit the ground. By 2011, that system was racing in MotoGP. Lino Dainese invented things that did not exist because riders were dying without them, and he decided he was going to do something about it. In 2025, the company Lino Dainese built from a single workshop in a village in Italy was sold for €1, not 1 million, not 1,000. €1. The private equity firm that had acquired it loaded it with €300 million in debt. The interest payments consumed the company, and when the math collapsed, Carlyle Group handed what was left to its creditors for the symbolic price of a single coin. Giacomo Agostini raced in Dainese leathers. Valentino Rossi raced in Dainese leathers. The technology Lino Dainese invented saved lives on racetracks for 50 years. And the men who extracted every euro of value from the brand he built walked away. That is what is happening to the motorcycle gear industry. By the time this video is done, you will know exactly who's doing it, which brands they control, and the one company in this entire market that has refused to sell. Let me show you the two structures that control what you wear on your bike. The first one you have never heard of. It is called LeMans Corporation. It is headquartered in Janesville, Wisconsin. It is the largest distributor of aftermarket motorcycle products in the world, serving over 20,000 dealerships globally through its Parts Unlimited and Drag Specialties divisions. But distribution is only half of what LeMans does. LeMans Corporation also owns the brands. Icon Motorsports, the gear brand that built its identity around urban aggression and attitude, the brand that fills the rack at every dealership aimed at younger American riders, is a LeMans house brand. So is Thor, the motocross gear company worn by AMA champions. So is Moose Racing. So is Arctiva, ZR, and Slippery. Think about what that means structurally. LeMans is not just selling gear to dealerships. LeMans owns the brands that make the gear, distributes those brands through its own distribution network to its own dealer accounts, and controls the shelf space those products land on when they arrive at the store. The company that stocks your dealer is the same company that made the jacket on the rack. The brand on the label and the truck that delivered it belong to the same parent. I personally think this is one of the most elegant corporate structures in the history of the motorcycle industry, and I mean elegant in the way a trap is elegant. You walk into a dealership thinking you are choosing between competing brands. You are choosing between products from the same Wisconsin corporation. Before your next gear purchase, check the description. We have linked the independent brands covered in this video, the ones that are not owned by a conglomerate, sorted by category. Jacket, gloves, boots, and full suit options are listed. Links are below. The second structure is the private equity Carousel, and this is where the Dainese story connects to everything else you are wearing. When Carlyle Group acquired Dainese in 2022, they were not buying a motorcycle gear company. They were buying a portfolio asset. Dainese, AGV helmets, and TCX motorcycle boots, 3 brands under one roof, were valued at approximately 630 million euros. Carlyle financed the acquisition not with its own capital, but through two London-based private credit firms, HPS Investment Partners and Arcmont Asset Management. One of those firms, HPS, was acquired at the start of July 2025 by BlackRock, the largest asset management company in human history with over $10 trillion under management. So within months of Dainese collapsing under its debt load, one of the firms that held that debt became part of the same organization that manages more money than the GDP of Japan. Lino Dainese built a back protector so that riders would not die. The financial architecture around his brand involved Carlyle Group, two London credit firms, and ultimately BlackRock. These are not motorcycle people. They are not gear people. They have never sat in a workshop in Mulvina trying to figure out how to keep a rider's spine intact in a crash at 100 miles per hour. They are people who move capital, and they are not alone in this market. Fox Racing was founded in 1974 by Jeff Fox, originally making motocross gear from a garage in California. For 50 years, Fox was synonymous with the identity of off-road riding, the gear brand that defined what motocross looked like. In 2022, Vista Outdoor, the ammunition conglomerate that bought Bell Helmets, acquired Fox Racing for $540 million. Vista then merged Fox Racing's operations with Bell and Giro, consolidating their teams into a single building in Irvine, California. Marketing departments were merged and staff were laid off. The people who understood what Fox Racing meant to the riders who wore it were replaced with a unified corporate structure designed to extract margin across all three brands simultaneously. In January 2025, the entire bundle, Fox Racing, Bell, Giro, Camelback, Bushnell, a paddleboard brand and a fishing brand, was sold to strategic value partners for $1.125 billion. Strategic Value Partners is a firm that specializes in distressed assets. Their business model is buying things that are underperforming and restructuring them. Fox Racing is now inside a distressed asset restructuring portfolio alongside a paddleboard company. That is where 50 years of motocross identity currently lives. Klim is the premium adventure and enduro gear brand. It was founded in Rigby, Idaho by Justin Summers, built on the premise that technical riders in extreme conditions needed gear engineered for those specific conditions. In 2012, Polaris Industries acquired Klim. Polaris is the same company that owns Indian Motorcycle and makes Polaris all-terrain vehicles. Your Klim jacket and your Indian Motorcycle share a corporate parent. The brand that positions itself as independent, rugged, and built for serious riders is a line item in the parts, garments, and accessories division of a publicly traded corporation whose primary business is power sports vehicles. Now, I want to talk about something specific because this is the part that matters most to anyone who has ever stood in a dealership and tried to figure out which gear is actually going to protect them. When a brand is owned by a private equity firm or a conglomerate, the primary financial pressure on that brand is margin, not safety, not innovation, margin. Every product decision, the leather thickness, the CE armor rating, the stitching specification, the quality of the zipper, runs through a cost calculation that is ultimately accountable to a return target. Dainese, when Lino was building it, had 118 patents. He was inventing things: the back protector, the airbag suit, the knee slider. These inventions came from a man in a workshop trying to solve the problem of how to keep a human body alive in a crash. Under private equity, the pressure runs the opposite direction. You are not inventing, you are defending margin. You are finding the line between what the rider will accept and what costs the least to produce. There is a reason that independent safety testing organizations like MotoCap have started publishing comparative safety ratings for motorcycle gear, because the brand name on the jacket is no longer a reliable signal of what is inside it. A jacket with an Italian name and a heritage story stitched into its marketing can have a C rating in impact protection and abrasion resistance. The story on the label and the performance of the armor are two different things, and the organizations doing the testing are finding that gap in product after product. I personally think every rider should look up their jacket's MotoCap rating before they trust their life to what they are wearing. Not the brand story, not the price tag. The actual tested performance number. Because the brand story was written in a boardroom, not in a crash. If you are shopping for new gear and want to know which brands actually test well independently of their marketing, check the description. We have sorted the affiliate links by brands that score well in independent testing, not just by brands with good stories. Worth checking before you spend $400 on something you are trusting with your skin. So what does independence look like in motorcycle gear right now? Because if you have been watching this channel for any time, you know what comes next. We do not just expose the problem, we tell you what the alternative actually is. Alpinestars was founded in 1963 in Asolo, Italy, by Sante Mazzarolo. He was a leather craftsman who started making boots because he watched early motocross riders destroying their feet and ankles, and he decided he could build something better. Today, Alpinestars generates over $190 million in annual revenue. It supplies gear to MotoGP World Champions, Formula One champions, and NASCAR champions. It has more gloves with 5-star MotoCap ratings than any other manufacturer. It was the first Italian manufacturer to achieve CE Level 2 certification, the highest European protection standard across its glove range. And it has never been sold. The Mazzarolo family still owns it and still runs it. Gabriele Mazzarolo, Sante's son, runs the American operation from California. When Alpinestars invests in its airbag technology, the Tech Air system, that investment is accountable to a family whose name is on the door, not to a private equity return target with a 5-year exit horizon. That distinction is not sentimental. It is structural. A family-owned company that has been building safety equipment for 60 years and never sold has a fundamentally different set of incentives than a portfolio asset being managed for a quarterly distribution. When Alpinestars builds a new glove, the people deciding how thick the palm material is are the same people who will still own the brand in 20 years. That accountability does not exist anywhere else in this market right now. REV'IT is a Dutch motorcycle gear manufacturer founded in 1995 and still privately held. It has built a reputation in the adventure touring and sport touring segment for technically rigorous products with consistent independent safety scores. It is not a conglomerate brand, it is not a private equity asset, it is an independent Dutch company that makes motorcycle gear. Held is a German manufacturer founded in 1946. Family-owned for 3 generations, Held manufactures in Germany and has maintained that commitment through decades of industry consolidation pressure. When everything else in this market was being sold to American conglomerates or private equity firms in London and Bahrain, Held stayed German, stayed family-owned, and kept making gloves that consistently score at the top of independent tests. These 3 brands, Alpinestars, REV'IT, and Held, are not the cheapest options on the rack. They never will be. Independence costs money to maintain, but when you buy from a company that has not been restructured 3 times in 8 years by firms whose primary expertise is balance sheet optimization, you are buying from people who are still trying to keep you alive rather than trying to hit a margin target. The gear on that rack at your dealership has a story on the label. Lino Dainese's workshop in Italy, Jeff Fox's garage in California, Justin Summers building Klim in Idaho. Those stories are real. The men who built those companies built them because they believed in what they were making. But the company that owns those brands today is a different organization entirely. And the decisions being made about what goes inside your jacket are being made by people who have never ridden a motorcycle, in offices that have never seen a crash, accountable to return targets that have nothing to do with whether the armor holds when you need it. Check the description. The brands linked below are the ones that are still making those decisions themselves. They are the same price you would pay anywhere else. Links are sorted by category. Find what fits your riding and your budget. Please drop a comment telling us what gear you are wearing right now. We read every single one. Knowing what your audience trusts is how we know which brands to investigate next.